They say once you turn 60, your body becomes a ticking time bomb wrapped in beige clothing. Too dramatic? Maybe, but you've heard the whispers. It's all downhill from here. Memory fades, energy dips, you lose your spark. Well, bless that noise and toss it out with the expired prune juice. Welcome to Buddhist Wisdom for the Elderly, where we believe that after 60, life doesn't fall apart. It falls inward, into presence, into sweetness, into the good stuff you were too busy for before. And what if I told you the sacred keys to aging with joy, clarity, and mischief were sitting right in your fruit bowl? 7 ordinary fruits with extraordinary power, each one a sermon in skin. Especially part 4. Blueberries. Those little blue monks may just help you remember more than names. They might help you remember yourself. So if you're ready to age like a bodhisattva with a grocery list, hit like, subscribe, and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Because sharing wisdom and fruit is how we stay alive together. Now breathe in, soften your shoulders, and join us. This is your orchard of awakening. Fruit 1. Mangoes. Sweetness, slowness, and the soft art of being ripe. Mangoes. If fruit had personalities, the mango would be that wise, radiant elder who wears flowing scarves, laughs with their whole body, and smells like sunshine and incense. You know the one. Walks into the room and suddenly everyone's smiling and doesn't know why. Mangoes are joy. Not the over-caffeinated, bounce-off-the-walls kind of joy, but the deep, golden kind. The kind that comes from having lived through things. The kind that knows life is short, sticky, and worth savoring. Scientifically, mangoes are loaded. Vitamins A, C, E, and K all bundled up in a golden orb that tastes like tropical bliss. They help with immunity, eye health, skin elasticity, and may even slow down the cellular signs of aging. You know, all that stuff we pretend not to care about until we see ourselves on Zoom. But that's just the surface. The real magic of the mango? It helps you remember how to enjoy being alive. And that's something we forget as we age. There's this strange pressure to be productive, even in retirement, to stay sharp, stay useful, stay on top of it all. But mangoes? Mangoes say, honey, sit down, let the juice drip, you're already enough. Let me tell you about Bhavana. She was 79, a former dancer, now mostly seated but still radiant. Every Sunday she'd sit on her porch and eat a mango like it was a holy ceremony. No phone, no TV, just mango and sky. She once told me, the mango teaches me how to receive again, not achieve, just receive. There's so much teaching in that, because when you're older it can feel like the world wants to move on without you, like you've had your turn, but mangoes say, darling, you're still ripening. And isn't that beautiful? In Buddhist tradition, mangoes have long symbolized ripeness of wisdom. In some Jataka tales, the Buddha plants and tends to a mango grove, not because he needed fruit, but because he wanted to nourish others with sweetness. Real sweetness. Not just flavor, but presence. You can't rush a mango. You don't gobble it down like popcorn. You eat it slow, with your fingers, like a child or a mystic. Maybe both. You let it be messy. You smile when it stains your shirt. You remember, oh yes, being alive is a sensory experience. And guess what? Your gut loves mangoes too. They're full of fiber, gentle on digestion, and feed the good bacteria in your belly. That belly, by the way, is connected to your brain. So mangoes help your mood too. They're like edible antidepressants, with a side of tropical sunshine. Here's your practice. Slice a mango. Don't look at your phone. Don't multitask. Just eat slowly with gratitude. Let the sweetness coat your mouth. Let the warmth spread through your chest. Let it remind you that life, even now, is offering itself to you. Not as a job, not as a task, but as a gift. And if it drips, good. Let go of needing to be tidy. Let go of needing to be useful. Let go of needing to be young. You are ripe now, and ripe is beautiful. Fruit 2. Apples, the everyday miracle that whispers, you're still here, baby. The apple. Not exotic, not flashy, no Instagram influencers fawning over it in Bali. just a humble, familiar, often overlooked old friend. And yet, this is the fruit that has stayed with us. Through childhood lunchboxes, autumn pies, and doctors' waiting rooms, whispering that ancient truth, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Turns out, that wasn't just grandma's homespun wisdom, it was ancestral science. Apples are like that soft-spoken elder who's been sitting quietly in the corner of the room all along, watching you run around in circles, and then one day you actually sit down and listen. And when you do, the apple says, "Let's simplify things, sweetheart. You want to reduce inflammation? Apples. Need to stabilize your blood sugar? Apples. Trying to feed your gut bacteria the good stuff? Yup, apples. They're packed with pectin, a special kind of soluble fiber that helps regulate digestion, lower cholesterol, and slow down the spike of blood sugar after meals. It's basically your body's built-in mood stabilizer, but tastier. Let's talk about Henry. Henry was 82, a grumbly, lovable sort, veteran, fisherman, known for telling the same story 4 different ways before breakfast. But arthritis had started taking over his joints, and he felt stiff physically and emotionally. He didn't want pills, didn't trust trends. But one day, after a walk with his neighbor, a retired nurse who carried more wisdom than her gray ponytail let on, she handed him an apple and said, "Start here." So he did. Every day, 1 apple, sometimes sliced, sometimes whole, sometimes with a dab of peanut butter, which he called the good stuff. Within weeks, something shifted. His joints eased, his digestion smoothed. But the biggest surprise? He started singing again while fixing the porch. That hadn't happened in years. In Buddhist thought, there's this idea of the beginner's mind, that childlike way of seeing the world with wonder, even if you've seen it all before. Apples carry that energy. They're not flashy, they're familiar, but they invite us to come back to what really matters. Because real healing doesn't always come in new, rare, or complicated packages. Sometimes it comes in a fruit you've known your whole life, when you meet it again with awareness. Apples are also loaded with polyphenols, which protect your heart, improve blood flow, and reduce oxidative stress. That's science speak for they help your cells breathe easier. But more than that, apples help you feel better. Not in a high-drama kind of way, but in that soft, steady, "oh hey, I feel like myself today" kind of way. And let's not forget, apples are easy. No chopping, no peeling, no fuss, just wash and bite. They travel well, they show up in every grocery store. They're reliable, consistent. Kinda like you, yeah? So here's how to enjoy apples with a little soul. Eat 1 in the morning and imagine it scrubbing your insides clean. Slice 1 up in the afternoon and chew slowly, like you're savoring time. Share 1 with someone you love and tell them a story you haven't told in years. Because eating an apple isn't just a snack, it's a ritual, a tiny act of self-respect. So bless the apple, thank the tree, thank your teeth for still hanging in there, and as you chew, smile at the miracle of being alive. Still, after all this time. Because maybe that old saying was never just about doctors. Maybe it was about remembering your wholeness, your resilience, your ripeness. An apple a day doesn't just keep the doctor away, it brings you back home. Fruit 3, black grapes. Tiny spheres of surrender, sweetness, and cellular liberation. Now, grapes. But not just any grapes. Black grapes. The moody jazz musicians of the fruit world. Dark, mysterious, soft on the inside, full of soul, and maybe just a little dramatic, like your Aunt Ida at Thanksgiving. These aren't the grapes that show up in a lunchbox and get ignored. No. These are the slow grapes, the contemplative grapes, the kind you eat 1 at a time while staring out the window, wondering where the last 40 years went. Let's get a little scientific first, because the body likes to be seen as much as the soul. Black grapes are loaded with resveratrol, a plant compound that's been shown to improve heart health, sharpen brain function, reduce inflammation, and even extend lifespan by activating certain longevity genes. I mean, come on. That's quite the resume for such a tiny fruit. But I like to think of resveratrol as the fruit's way of helping your body let go of what it doesn't need anymore. On a cellular level, it encourages something called autophagy, your body's natural spring cleaning process. Out with the old, in with the new. Out with tired, worn-out cells. In with vibrancy, clarity, and a few less creaks in your knees. In the spiritual world, we call that non-attachment. In fact, black grapes are like little teachers of impermanence. They spoil fast, wrinkle quick, and turn to raisins if you ignore them. Just like time, just like us. Which is why they are the perfect fruit for anyone learning the art of letting go. Let me tell you about Eunice. She was 87, full of sass and spirit, but had lost more than she ever thought she could bear. Her husband, her siblings, even some of her memories. But every afternoon, she'd sit in her old armchair with a bowl of chilled black grapes and say, "This is my letting go practice." She'd eat them slow, one by one, no distractions, just grape, breath, presence. "I can't stop time," she told me, "but I can taste it." That's the power of these little fruits. They bring you back to the moment, to what's still sweet, to what's still here. In Buddhist tradition, there's an emphasis on purification, not in a punishing or moralistic way, but in the gentle release of what clutters the spirit. Grapes do this for the body. They help cleanse the blood, clear the pathways, open the vessels that feed the heart and brain. But even more beautifully, they do this symbolically. Each grape becomes a soft, round reminder. You are allowed to release what no longer serves you. Old regrets? Let them wrinkle. Painful memories? Let them ferment. The illusion that you need to be useful to be lovable? Spit that seed out, my friend. So how do we practice with grapes? Rinse a small bunch. Sit down. Not while doing taxes or yelling at the news. Sit with intention. Eat each one slowly. Feel the juice. Taste the sweetness. Notice how your body receives it. And with each bite, imagine yourself letting go of tension, of old beliefs, of anything you no longer need to carry. Because that's what black grapes really offer. Gentle release. They don't shout, they don't push, they just arrive soft and full, saying, "Here, let's do this together." And as you let go, you make space for softness, for joy, for peace. So here's to black grapes, the fruit of forgiveness, purification, and juicy liberation. One grape at a time. Fruit 4, blueberries, little mushy orbs of divine brain rescue. Now let me ask you something deeply spiritual, and also a bit silly. What if the doorway to a sharper mind and a longer life wasn't through another self-help book or prescription bottle, but through a wrinkled plastic carton of blueberries you forgot in the back of your fridge? I know. Sounds a little too simple, right? But sometimes the simplest things are the most sacred. Like breath, or laughter, or finding your glasses on your head after you've spent 20 minutes searching for them. Now, these blueberries, we'll call them brainberries for fun, are not just cute little fruits. No, sir. These are tiny, soft, purple monks. They sit in silence, ripening patiently, waiting to bless your neurons with clarity, balance, and perhaps even a few recovered memories. Science folks will tell you they're packed with anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that reduce brain inflammation, improve communication between brain cells, and slow down the kind of forgetfulness that makes you call your grandson by the dog's name. But I like to think of blueberries as little bodhisattvas in berry form. Their purpose? To keep your thoughts from running out the back door of your mind without saying goodbye. Let me tell you about Robert. Robert was a 78-year-old man with the memory of an elephant until it turned into the memory of a goldfish. Names disappeared. Appointments vanished. He even forgot his wife's birthday, which, as any married man over 60 knows, is a near-death experience. His daughter, bless her, told him to try something new. No lectures, no brain training apps, just blueberries. Every morning, a handful with his oatmeal. At first he scoffed. Blueberries? What am I, a squirrel? But he tried it, and slowly something shifted. He started remembering names. His mood lightened. He stopped opening the fridge and forgetting why he was there. Well, mostly. Was it magic? No, it was blueberries. Now in Buddhism, we don't separate body from mind. The body is not a machine to be fixed, it's a temple. And the mind? The mind is the guest who lives in that temple. When the guest gets cranky, confused, or forgetful, it's usually because the temple hasn't been swept in a while or fed properly. That's where blueberries come in. These fruits help improve blood flow to the brain. They protect nerve cells. They even help regulate your mood. You know, that vague fog that makes you forget if it's Tuesday or Thursday? Blueberries shine a little flashlight in that fog. Let me bring in another elder, Suman. She was an 82-year-old Sri Lankan grandmother who believed that blueberries were not food, but prayer. She meditated every morning, followed by a small bowl of fruit and ghee. Her mind? Sharp as a bell. Her laugh? Contagious. Her wisdom? Grounded and gentle. She said, if you want to be present, feed the part of you that forgets how. Her life taught me something. When we eat with love, awareness, and maybe a touch of silliness, we become more alive, not just in body, but in soul. And here's something that gets missed a lot when we talk about health for older folks. It's not just about cholesterol or blood sugar. It's about dignity. When your mind feels sharp, you feel less like someone who needs help and more like someone who has something to offer. That's priceless. So let's wrap this up with a simple suggestion from your Cosmic Fruit Guide. Add half a cup of blueberries to your daily life. Mix them into oatmeal, smoothies, or just eat them one at a time like you're taking sacred communion with the divine berries spirit. Do it with love, with humor, with presence. And as you eat them, imagine each blueberry saying to your neurons, "Hey, I got you." Because they do. These aren't just fruits. They're memory keepers, little protectors of your stories. They say, yes, you're getting older, but you're also waking up. And isn't that the real miracle? Fruit 5, avocados, fat, green, and full of heart, literally and spiritually. Let's talk about something that many of us were raised to fear. Fat. Don't eat too much of that, it'll clog your arteries. Watch your cholesterol, low-fat everything. And yet, here we are, older, wiser, and realizing that maybe, just maybe, not all fat is bad. In fact, some of it is sacred. And nothing proves that better than the avocado. Ah yes, the avocado, the Buddha of fruits, round, calm, and soft in the middle. A quiet teacher wrapped in green skin. It just sits there on your plate, serene and nourishing, saying, be gentle with your heart. You see, after 60, the heart starts getting a little weary. It's beat a lot of beats, it's held a lot of grief, it's loved and lost and held on. So it deserves support, not through restriction, but through kindness. And avocados? They're like giving your heart a warm bath and a kind word all at once. Packed with monounsaturated fats, the good kind, the kind your arteries throw a party for, avocados lower the bad cholesterol and raise the good. They keep blood vessels soft and flexible, like yoga for your circulatory system. They're also loaded with potassium, which balances sodium and keeps blood pressure from creeping up like an unwanted guest. But this isn't just science, it's soul care. Let me tell you about Frank. Frank was 75, retired, and a lifelong potato chip addict. His idea of a balanced diet was holding the bag in both hands. One day, after a particularly stern warning from his doctor, he traded his chips for a morning ritual of avocado toast, sprinkled with lemon, a pinch of salt, and the bravery to try something new. At first he grumbled, "I'm not a millennial," but then he felt something change. His blood pressure came down, his energy rose, and most mysteriously, he found himself humming again in the morning. Frank hadn't hummed since the 80s. Avocados don't just feed the heart, they lift the spirit. In Buddhist psychology, the heart isn't separate from the mind. Chitta, the heart-mind, is the seat of our emotions, our clarity, our courage. A strong heart isn't just one that beats well, it's one that feels well. One that doesn't shrink in fear or close down from regret. And when you eat something as whole and loving as an avocado, Your body feels it. You feel safe, supported, loved even, which ironically makes it easier to love others too. Now I know what you might be thinking, a fruit that makes me feel loved? And to that I say yes, but only if you pay attention while you eat it. Make it a ritual. Take your time. Slice it with intention. Bless it with a little salt, maybe olive oil if you're feeling gourmet. And then eat it slowly, like you're feeding not just your body but your history, your memories, your decades of living, because food, when eaten mindfully, becomes medicine. And avocados? They're the kind of medicine that doesn't lecture you or give you side effects. They just show up, soft and green, and say, "You're doing okay? Let's take care of that heart of yours." So eat the avocado, spread it on toast, blend it into a smoothie, toss it into a salad with a little bit of joyful rebellion. And as you eat, imagine it smoothing the walls of your arteries and your emotions. This isn't about dieting. This is about devotion. Your heart has done a lot of work in this life. Let it rest. Let it be nourished. Let it be held. Because the real secret to longevity isn't just a beating heart. It's a heart that's still open. Fruit 6, papayas, the tropical Buddha that heals your gut and softens your edges. Let's get one thing clear right off the bat. Papayas are weird. They're soft in all the wrong places, smell kind of like a sock drawer if you're not used to them, and are full of mysterious little black seeds that look like they might whisper secrets if you listen close enough. But you know what? They're miraculous. They don't show up with the swagger of a pomegranate or the Pinterest popularity of avocado toast. No, papayas arrive humbly, soft, orange, slightly sagging, like the rest of us after 70. And that's why I love them. Because papayas know exactly what it's like to be underestimated. Let's be honest, digestion gets trickier as we age. The old gut just doesn't snap to attention like it used to. Meals that once sat comfortably now throw full-blown tantrums. Bloating, gas, constipation, yes, the symphony of senior stomachs. But papayas? Papayas are like that old friend who shows up, rubs your back and says, "Shh, let it go, I've got you." They're full of a natural enzyme called papain, which helps break down proteins and makes digestion feel like a gentle waltz instead of a wrestling match. It's like having a little tropical yogi massaging your intestines. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 76, charmingly stubborn, and had a gut like a rebellious teenager. Everything she ate either made her bloat, burp, or run. She tried every probiotic on the shelf, every tea your aunt swore by, every yoga pose that promised digestive bliss. Nothing worked. Until her neighbor, a laid-back Hawaiian woman named Leilani, handed her a ripe papaya and said, "Sister, eat this. It's nature's apology." Margaret did. Every afternoon, a little bowl of papaya after lunch. And within a week, less bloating, easier digestion, and best of all, she stopped dreading meals. Food became joy again. Now that's healing. In Buddhist psychology, there's a deep connection between the gut and the mind. Modern science is finally catching up, calling it the gut-brain axis. Your gut, believe it or not, is lined with neurons. It's your second brain. It affects your mood, your memory, even your sense of ease in the world. So when your digestion is out of balance, your whole being feels off. And when it's at peace, everything else seems to soften. Papayas also boost immunity, thanks to a generous helping of vitamin C. One serving gives you more than 100% of your daily needs. They're also rich in folate, fiber, and beta-carotene, the kind of quiet warriors that keep disease at bay while you go about your business of being a radiant elder. But more than all the science, papayas remind us of something essential. Healing doesn't have to be hard. We think health comes from grit, effort, willpower. But sometimes it comes from softness, from surrender, from a ripe, messy fruit that asks only one thing of you: receive me with gratitude. So how do you enjoy this tropical medicine? Eat it fresh with a squeeze of lime. Blend it into a smoothie and pretend you're on a beach. Add it to a fruit salad with mint and honey. Or just scoop it out with a spoon, barefoot in your kitchen, humming something sweet. And if the smell makes you wrinkle your nose at first, that's okay. Like aging, papayas take some getting used to. But once you've made peace with the funk, you discover the grace. So here's the blessing of the papaya. May your belly be soft. May your digestion be smooth. May your days flow like enzymes through the gut of time. Because aging isn't about holding tighter, it's about letting go. And the papaya, she knows all about that. Fruit 7 pomegranates, the fruit that laughs in the face of aging. Now some fruits show up with quiet grace, a gentle banana, a bashful pear. But the pomegranate? Oh no. The pomegranate arrives like a queen at a tea party, wearing jewels, throwing antioxidants around like confetti, and whispering, "I know how to keep you young, darling." This fruit is not for the rushed or the careless. It takes effort. It stains your fingers. It gets in your teeth. But isn't that a perfect metaphor for aging? The best things like wisdom, love, or finally figuring out how to set the remote take time. Pomegranates are ancient, revered in Greek mythology, Persian poetry, and Ayurvedic medicine. And why? Because they've long been associated with life force. Not just living, but living well, with vigor, with clarity, with purpose. Now let's peek at what's inside these juicy rubies. Pomegranates are rich in polyphenols, plant compounds that help keep blood flowing, inflammation low, and your cells from prematurely throwing in the towel. They've been shown to lower blood pressure, improve circulation, and even help reduce the buildup of plaque in arteries. Basically, they scrub your insides clean like a fruit-based monk with a mop. Let me introduce you to Dorothy. Dorothy was 80 years old and, by her own admission, as creaky as an old rocking chair. Her joints ached. Her energy flickered. One day, after reading about pomegranates in a dusty health magazine in her dentist's waiting room, she gave it a try. Not one to do things halfway, she started drinking a small glass of pomegranate juice every morning, followed by a little bowl of seeds she referred to as my crimson medicine. A few weeks in, she noticed her knees weren't as stiff. Her walks around the block got longer. Her laughter came easier. She said, "It's like my joints got a pep talk." Now, scientifically, we'd say that's the anti-inflammatory effects doing their job. Spiritually, I'd say her body just remembered how to celebrate itself. In Buddhism, we often talk about impermanence, how nothing lasts. But we forget that the flip side of impermanence is renewal. Just because the body is aging doesn't mean it's decaying. There's a difference. One is surrender. The other is neglect. Pomegranates teach us the joy of tending to this temple we walk around in. They remind us that blood flow isn't just biology, it's movement, life, passion. When the blood flows, the spirit dances. When circulation improves, so does vitality. They also strengthen the immune system, protect against free radicals, and may reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. But beyond the science, they whisper something else. You are still full of life. Now yes, they're a bit of a mess. Getting those little seeds out takes patience. But again, aging invites us into patience, doesn't it? We can't rush anymore, we must slow down. And in that slowing, there's room for something sacred to enter. Maybe it's joy, maybe it's memory, maybe it's simply presence. So here's how to enjoy pomegranates. Spoon out the seeds and sprinkle them over yogurt, cereal, or salads. Blend them into a smoothie and pretend you're royalty. Or sip on pure pomegranate juice in the morning as if it's sacred nectar, because quite frankly, it is. And while you're at it, smile at the mess it makes. Let it stain your hands. Let it remind you that being alive is not a tidy affair. Because here's the truth. Aging is not about fading. It's about ripening. And the pomegranate, she's the fruit of ripeness, richness, and radiant vitality. So raise a spoon, a cup, or your berry-stained fingers and toast to the messy, magnificent, still hear you. Because the body might wrinkle, but the spirit, she only deepens. So there you have it, dear one. 7 fruits, 7 teachings and 7 sweet little nudges from the universe saying you're not done growing yet. We met the mango and remembered joy. We sat with the apple and found steadiness. We tasted grapes and practiced letting go. We chewed blueberries to call back clarity. We spread avocado and softened our hearts. We scooped papaya and honored our guts. And we crowned it all with the pomegranate, proof that aging can still be powerful, sensual, and sacred. You see, these aren't just fruits. They're little daily invitations to wake up with gentleness, to care for your body like it's a dear friend, to laugh at the mess, to love what remains. If something here made you smile, stirred your heart, or gave your cells a little pep talk, go ahead and like the video. If you know someone walking the same elder path, share it with them. And if you've got your own fruit ritual or a story worth telling, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear it. And if you'd like to help us grow this little orchard of elder wisdom, hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers so we can keep planting seeds like these. Until next time, take a breath, take a bite, and take this life gently, one juicy day at a time.